Let's crack on though, guys. So to introduce ourselves, my name is Matt. I am part of the customer success team here at Vincere. And we've also got Donna.
Hey guys, I'm the second half of the Donna and Matt show. I'm Donna. I am in our growth team. Forgot what team I was in then. So I'm based here with Matt.
Perfect. So guys, today's session is an introduction to the forecaster. This, to be honest, it's one of my favorite dashboards in Vincere. It's really, really powerful. It's only going to take 15-20 minutes or so, and we're going to forecast revenues, best case, job health check, active pipeline. It's a real winner, this dashboard.
Absolutely.
Like I say, any questions you've got throughout the chats, stick it in there.
I love that we're just focusing on this dashboard, because whether it be, my team working on demos with prospects, or Matt's team training, often the forecaster is part of a wider session, and actually it deserves a little bit of airtime on its own. So I'm really glad that we're focusing just on this dashboard. It's really key for you guys that are going to make big business decisions for the future.
Yeah, absolutely right. Should we crack on?
Let's do it, because we don't know how long we've got, so let's go for it.
This is literally like Mission Impossible. How long have we got? Right, Donna, over to you to get us started.
Let's get started as we always do with this top line figure here. So across the top of your forecaster, first of all, I assume everybody has the forecaster. If you don't, reach out to us. It's there on the left hand side, and this for me in the analytics suite is where the money starts. Everything else is around kind of KPIs, operations. This is where your finance team and anyone that's kind of got an eye on the bottom line is going to head to. So across the top we have our best case scenario, and this is ordinarily going to be quite a big figure, and the reason for that is that's pulling your forecasting based on all of your open jobs. So in other words, if I was to fill everything sat in my open jobs today, which would be nice, that's how much I'd make. So that's a big figure. Now we've got an algorithm, as most of you Vinny fans will know, built into the system, and we use some AI to give your we look at things like your consultants, kind of AI coaches and ratios and things like that, and we pull together a forecast based on that AI. So your current hit rate, if you like, for want of a better phrase, is about 50.8%. In the real world, I think that would be pretty good, but we're just talking dummy data here. So that gives you a most likely figure of 186977 there. So that's what you're probably going to bill there or thereabouts, based on what you're currently doing and your current rate of activity. Now that figure might scare the hell out of you, because that might be quite different to what your wonderful, optimistic recruitment team are telling you is going to happen. But actually, that reality check, really useful that comes before the event. So that's not a retrospective figure that you're getting on a report to say, oh, bummer, didn't make what we thought we were going to make. It's giving you time to remedy that and put some measures in place to make sure that gets closer to where you need to be. You can see how many active jobs you've got, active candidates and active applications. Don't forget those candidates might be active in more than one job. And then obviously, and I'm going to go to the filters now because I always forget, and Matt tells me off on every single webinar.
The filters are so good, so
I always forget them though. We can use our filters then to see those figures on a more granular level, whether that be by brand, division, team, or even consultants. If I wanted to see a forecast for a particular division or consultant, then I'm able to slice and dice that information, as long as I've got the right permissions in the system, as I see fit. So that is that kind of top line. Just to hand over to Matt for a second to tell you what to do if you don't want the system to come up with that most likely figure for you.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. So you've got this AI, which is basically just, as Donna mentioned, based on past performance. So that's the past 12 months. So really, you have to have been using Vincere effectively, for a good 12-month period to get an accurate figure there. However, if you're new to Vincere or you don't want to use the AI for whatever reason, you can go to most likely by and change that to manual. Okay, hit filter, and now it's not looking at past performance. It's actually giving the consultant the ability to say, well, actually, this is a 20% likelihood close, or an 80%, or a 90. And look, that's doubled. That's now gone from 50% to 100%. So the system thinks 50%, and then the consultants think 100%. And Donna, as you mentioned, right, salespeople are always the optimists.
Definitely going to drop. Definitely this week. This week's the week.
So it does allow you to kind of compare and contrast between, well, actually not reality, but past performance, and then, hopes and dreams, essentially. In terms of where you set these up, guys, this manual, it's all from within the job. I'm going to go into this third tab here. I'm going to go into the job in Vincere. I'm going to scroll down, and then it's all in this forecasting section at the bottom. And this is where you can define. So by default, every job is always 100, but that can be, for example, can you still hear me okay, Donna and team?
Yep. Yeah. Cool. You're all good.
There's no flames around me yet, so it's all good. So that can be 100 by default, but that can also be, if it's an A job, it might be anywhere between 75 to 100, or a B job or an A or B client. You can define that as a business, okay? You can also put in here projected placement date, how difficult the role is, and also any reasons for difficulty as well. Okay, so the idea of this is you don't need scraps of paper, you don't need, ones and ones all the time with your guys. They can just automatically fill this in and go straight to it, okay? However, so that's manual, that's doing it manually. We have also built in here some automation automatically. So if you don't really want your guys having to fill this in every day and put 100%, 10%, 20%, it can automatically update based on the pipeline of the candidates. And what that means in practice now, if I go into my admin settings tab, you can define what these are. I.e., if you've got the automation route set for a job, if I'm a consultant and I shortlist a candidate, it automatically makes my percentage chance of placement, 0.45. If I send someone to send, 2.5, first interview 9, second plus 30%, we're getting really close now. And obviously, if they're in offered, they're very, very likely to place them. Guys, these are all configured by yourselves. So set these up, define what you want them to be, and then you're taking the manual element out. But there's no right or wrong here. It depends on how you guys want to run your forecast. At the end of the day, it is a guess. I guess in the system. In terms of where you set these up, guys, you go into settings and then admin settings. Mm-hmm. You go to system preferences, the third one along, and then you scroll right down to number 8, placement probability by stage, and you just stick them in there. Nice and easy. So that's how you kind of the forecasting works from a manual perspective. If we just jump back into the forecaster, just before we move on to the active pipeline, just to explain what this table means, because again, this table can be overlooked, but it's actually really useful. Essentially, it's just giving you all the active jobs you've got, and an active job, guys, is a job that's open, and you've got a candidate actively in the pipeline. So they're shortlisted, they're sent, they're at first interview, second, or offered. Haven't been placed yet, but they are in the pipeline somewhere. You've got job ID, job name, company name, got the job type, is it contract, is it perm, is it exec search, whatever it may be. The active headcount, so that's your headcount minus any placements, your active seats essentially. Active candidates, the best case scenario, obviously the percentage you've set in the job or the AI coach, the job owner, how long the job's been aging for. So since I opened the job, how long has it been rotting or aging, whatever your terminology is. And then again, projected placement date. Essentially, this table is just the sum giving you the best case. It's saying if we place every single active headcount and get every single fee, we're going to make this amount of money, okay?
Yeah.
Anywhere where you see zeros, warning signs. If you log onto your account after this session and you see big fat zeros, that's bad because your forecast is instantly wrong. You're not going to work for free, right? There has to be figures in there. So this screen allows you to go through and just check to make sure there's figures in there. And literally all you do is click through. If that one's 0, so I need to go and speak to Sean after this session, but essentially he's not put a figure in there. So I can click through to the job, stick a figure in the comp and fees, and then my job's done. That will all update for you in real time.
I think that's great how you can just go through to the job from anywhere in the analytics. So if there's a hover over, you can just go straight through to that record or that entity, whether that be a candidate or a job or whatever. I think it's one of the real wins with analytics. And with forecasting, we're often forecasting for a reason. Maybe we have got a bit of spend coming up, maybe the tax bill's coming up, or we're going to invest in a piece of tech or whatever. So when we're looking at these forecasts, we might not necessarily be looking at the current month. We might want to look at what we're going to forecast for, in 6 months' time, or for the next 31 to 90 days. So we've taken customer feedback, and they've given us the kind of date ranges that they would want to forecast from and to, and we've included them across the top. So without even going into your filters and using your date ranges, you can forecast the next 30 days following 31 to 60, 61 to 90. So if you're looking at a specific time frame and you want to know what you've currently got in the pipeline for that time frame, so you know your starting point, then those little tabs are real winners. We have included the custom one though, because as I've said, we've taken the feedback, and these are the ones that come out as the most common date ranges that you'd want to forecast by. But you might have something that's different, a bit of an anomaly, if you like. So you can still add a custom date range in there. Maybe you're looking at an incentive for your recruiters or something like that. So you want to see how their pipeline's looking next August when it's nice and hot in Ibiza. So you could put that date range in there, and use that to drill down into these figures a little bit further.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really useful. There's just been a question in the chat, guys. How can we basically see all the zeros, for example, and filter through them? It's a bit hidden really, but all of these columns, you can actually left click and you can sort them. So I could click on best case, and that will then sort by all the zeros first. And that's essentially your to-do list, right? For after the lesson. She said lesson, and after the session today. So yeah,
Mr.
you can
Donnelly?
sort by any of these. I know, right? I got my glasses on.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Cool. And that's the first tab, guys. It's very much just monetary. Can't really see too much here apart from best case, AI, and then the filters. But hopefully that's been useful for the first tab. The second tab is active pipeline.
Yeah, so this is a nice one actually. It's not very widely used, and actually it's not one that I've tended to demo very much, but I can see how it would be simple but very, very effective. So again, you've got your top line, which is exactly your active pipeline, how many active jobs you're currently working on, how that number of active roles compares to previous periods. So it's monitoring growth, not necessarily from a monetary perspective, but how many jobs are you working. Great one if you're looking to recruit, because you'll know how many assignments you want each of your consultants to be working on at any one time. So basic graph there across the left-hand side. This is your value of the role. So obviously the higher the dot, the more valuable, or the more valuable the forecast is for that particular job. And as Matt is very expertly showing you there, each of these dots represents an actual job. And just by hovering, you didn't make a click there, just by hovering, you're able to see the data behind each of the blobs on your active pipeline. So yeah, as I've said, the more valuable they are, the higher up the axis they'll be. The older they are, the further along to the right hand side of the axis they'll be. So you'll be able to see those that have started to maybe slow down or stall. Probably your higher value ones are going to be older by nature. We're not going to turn those ones around and recruit for them straight away. But if there is anything of a very low value, like some of the ones on there, which are seeming to be aging, that in itself can help you to clear up your pipeline, shall we say. But I won't spoil Matt's thunder, because that's coming in the job health check in just a moment. If I was looking at something more specific, so if I'm only interested in my pipeline of interviews, for instance, we can just toggle off the blobs that we don't want to see. And we are now looking at jobs that are at first interview stage, that are the most valuable and the oldest again. So a really nice way for you to just be able to view that. And again, you can look at jobs, you can look at candidates, and you can look at applications just by using the little buttons there. All your filters still apply. So the filters for the main dashboard always apply to the drill downs as well. And I think the drill downs don't get enough airtime, do they? We think about the forecaster, we think about our best case scenario. The drill downs are great, the active pipeline and the job health check. Now, similar to what Matt's just said on the actual best case dashboard, everything that is articulated by picture or design or graph at the top of one of our dashboards is also broken down into a table at the bottom. And that becomes super important when we get into these financial dashboards, because often the people looking at those just want a list. They just want the data. So we're looking at now all of our active roles. We can see the job name, where the writing is in blue. I can expertly just pop through to that job if I wanted to see exactly more details about that particular role. I can see who my job owner is, so if I need to ask a question about that particular role, I know exactly who to go to straight away. What's the highest stage it's been at? And there's a little up and down button there if you wanted to look from highest stage to lowest, or etc. You can see how many active headcount, and as Matt said, that's headcount left. So if you had a role where you had a requirement for 5 and you'd already placed 2, your active headcount would be 3. Fast math. And you can see what your most likely figure is. Are we using the AI? Yes, we are. It's at 51.3%. So the dashboards, as you can see, they all kind of cross over. There's information from the best case that is then fed into here, into this table, and vice versa. But yeah, that's your active pipeline. Nice and simple, super effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And then save the best or last, the absolute customer favorite, guys, from customers all around the world. This is the one. So if you're not going to use any of this dashboard after today, make sure you just use this final tab, because it's basically consolidating best case and active pipeline and extras into one nice dashboard here. So essentially what we're seeing the same data, 33 active jobs, the same best case, same most likely, depending on if you're doing manual or AI. Then we've got basically bubbles. We've got green, red, big, small. Essentially, that's the key takeaways. So the bigger the circle, the bigger the bubble, is the most effort, the most activity we're doing on that job. So this one here has had 15 activities. It's quite high up. It's obviously a best case figure in there as well. And green means positive momentum. It means we've been actively working this job for 28 days or less. So our guys are on it, okay? Anything that's small is obviously the least amount of activities. Red means stalled momentum. So there's been no activity for 29 days or more, which is obviously a risk when if it's big, it means you've spent a lot of time on it and it's red, so you've lost it or potentially about to lose it. And the higher up is obviously how much it's worth, okay? Again, the benefit of this dashboard, company-wide, is great. So you can see, any red is bad. Get your team leads, your team managers to fix that and turn them green. But remember those filters. So right now, if we look at this report, we've got a role here from Amy, which is kind of skewing the figures because her figure's so high for this one. Everything's gone along the bottom. If I just take her out of my filter now, so into consultant, I'm going to take Amy out and then filter again. Essentially, the whole report now dynamically updates. So now all the bubbles are going to shift around. There you go. So it's changed again. Now there's another relatively high fee there, one from Eloise, so I'll take her off the list. And again, that's where it really starts coming to life, essentially, okay? Because what you can now do is, hopefully, if this works with the filters, there we go. So now we're not looking at 500k salaries now or fees. We're looking at 15, 20k, okay? And now you can see the bubbles are a bit more accurate. You can see some red along here. Why is that red? The last activity was 100 days ago. Just kill it.
Yeah,
just
get it
kill
off.
it. You know what I mean? And if you don't want to kill it, place it or do something with it so it goes green again. Again, there's roles over here that have been open for a long time, but there's activity 8 to 6 days ago. And it's quite a high fee, so it's kind of like, what do we do here? It just allows you, it gives you the data to make data-driven decisions about the jobs you've got on, essentially. Really, really nice dashboard.
I also think, Matt, that it really kind of changes the dynamic in kind of team meetings. So the team meetings of old that I used to have with my recruitment team was, all tell me what jobs you got on and what stage they are, when they're going to place. With this, it take me 5 minutes to just go bubble, bubble, bubble. And then it's me saying, right, okay, Eloise, this has been open 120 days. Give me a day it's going to get placed, or we get it off because it's skewing our forecast, basically. And it really is, because these figures that are in that bubble are in that best case forecast. So that's skewing your figures. So that percentage is going to be the cleaner this data, this little diagram is, the more close that best case will be to the forecast. And that's the aim, really, to bring them together, so you're not basically shooting for the stars and basically jumping on a chair. So yeah, I love this. If it really plays to the manager, the recruitment manager in me.
Powerful as well. But I think
it is.
what makes it powerful is because you can slice and dice so much. Like, I've just turned off all the green. I don't care about green. They're doing well. I just want to see all of my guys' jobs that are all red. You toggle it off. I don't want to see least effort. You can toggle them all on and off. You can filter, and all of the figures filter in real time. So if I now do just one consultant, it's just their view. If I do a team or a brand or a division, it's a truly global report, which you can slice and dice per branch, per location, and again, per industry. You might want to look at what you're forecasted for law enforcement compared to program development. You might want just perm. You might not really want temp in there or exec search. There's all sorts you can do. So without sounding too much like a broken record, the filters are very, very useful.
Yes, I must remember. I did do them this time though, so I'm not going to get a slap wrist after.
You did.
Have we got time for a question, Matt? Marcel's just asked a really good question, which I think a lot of people will be wondering. Okay. So he's just asked for a summary of the kind of what to do's. So for instance, we said, in order for this to work, we need to get the compensation included in each job. So make sure you've got some sort of comp in there. Would there be any other key things, Matt, that you would expect people to do in order to really drive this dashboard and give it some life?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the key takeaway is obviously the fee is very, very important. The best case scenario, the manual route, if you are going to go that route, AI's there, done for you, like we can see here, or the manual route as well. What I would also say, guys, is just making sure things like the expected placement data are up to date, and that doesn't have to be static. That can be changing on the hour, on the day, depending on how likely you are, because you could put in here 100%, you could put close tomorrow, great, you'll get a really nice dashboard here. It's irrelevant. What's the point of putting 1 million forecast for tomorrow when it's just not achievable? It has to be realistic, right? Just some tips, guys, on how you can do that quite easily. If I just go into my Vincere account and I go to my sidebar menu and then go across to jobs. So a really easy way to make sure the data is clean is to go into jobs, go into your smart views here, your 2 boxes, and then toggle on percentage chance of placement, and then also forecast fee, and then I think date one as well, projected placement dates. There you go. There's your 3 key data points that you need, and then essentially just build these around. So remember, you can pick these up, you can drag and drop them, and then essentially just run a search. Oh, they've all got 0 fees. There we go. Who's the job owner? Go and fix it. Oh, they've not got percentage chance of placement. Go and fix it. Oh, they've got a projected placement date of last week. Go and fix it. So it's all in here for you to clean up. Basically, it's not really any excuse for consultants not to be doing it. The final part of that as well, guys, is right now we're looking at company-wide. We're looking at your whole business holistically and looking at consultants and filtering and things like that. Another really key takeaway for, I guess, answers the question as well, is how can my consultants, what's the easiest way for my consultants to keep on top of their forecast? You can do it from the table view, like we talked about a second ago. However, you can also go into your, Go into your Vincere account, go across the stats, this dashboard icon on the left, and then when you're in this view, go to the purple My Stats icon, okay? Essentially, that now opens up a new tab, and that takes me as a consultant to my individual forecast. So not company-wide now, nobody else's targets or fees, it's just mine. So the idea of this report is I can actually prepare my own forecast. I don't have to ask my manager for my stats or any permissions I need unlocked in Vincere and company-wide. This is mine. I've got 33 jobs. I've got a few here zeros. Before Donna gives me a slap on the hand, I need to make sure I put a figure in there. And I present this to Donna. I rock up on Zoom now or a meeting, and I actually present my forecast, my pipeline, my job health check, and Donna just sanity checks it and says, yeah, great. Whereas what you're probably doing now is you've probably got a big spreadsheet and you've got 1 million people in it and it's just messy. This is all streamlined for me as a consultant. Really, really important takeaway from today's session.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quite a long-winded answer for that question, but hopefully that's the answer.
Hopefully, Marcel, that was useful. It was for me actually. There's a few things I need to go away and do in my demo site. I think go and get it up to speed. Just to answer Neil, this forecaster is for temp, perm, contract, whatever you guys are doing in your business. It's forecasting for when you are due to book this fee. So there is a another webinar. We'll more than happy run some more around kind of how to use your booked versus future fees, which is basically that cash flow report that tells you exactly when that money is actually coming into you. This is forecasting when you're actually going to book that revenue, when you're going to fill that placement basically, and attributing that cash to then. So I hope that answers your question, Neil, and we'll certainly do some stuff around future fees for you, which essentially dissects those booked fees into a cash flow forecast for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's pretty much it, guys. There's not really that much more to it. It's basically just getting the data right. Vincere does all the heavy lifting, and start using it. What we would say is, I hope you found it useful. If you do want, we'll skip that because we're short on time, trying to plug the mobile app. If you do want some more hand-holding, you're looking at the report afterwards this afternoon, you're thinking, oh, this is all wrong, it's nothing like Matt and Donna showed me, reach out to us. One of our trainers will just book in a session with you, half an hour max, and we'll just run through it with your live database. We'll tell you where you need to go, and then hopefully you'll get a report you can start using, because we're just so conscious that these webinars, the data looks great, you're really excited, and then you go away and can't use it. We want you to use it, right?
Yeah,
so that's
please,
why the academies really important.
And the takeaway for us is, don't book a fire marshal as your moderator, because we've had to do all the Q&A by ourselves, and she's gone off and had to fire marshal.
And to be fair, I mean, the office is empty and there's nobody in here at all, but I'm still here and there's
still there.
Fire, so
smashing it, Matt. You can't. I tell you what, you can't knock his dedication. Nothing will keep him away from you guys.
Absolutely, Vinny is the way forward. Guys, hopefully you've joined. Hopefully you've learned something new. Let us know in the chat
everyone.
If it's been useful, because we're running these for you guys. If it wasn't useful, we'll stop. If it was, we'll do more. And make sure you're also following us on social, LinkedIn, Instagram. We post loads of stuff.
Thank you to the guys that are saying thank you as well. It's very nice. Have a great day.
Any final questions, guys? We'll stick about for a minute or so. But yeah, hopefully you found it. Hopefully you found it useful.
Check our Q&A.
We definitely need a moderator for next time, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. James, we'll get you sorted. Matt, there's a question from James. He can't see all these dashboards, so can you maybe pick that up with
James,
one of your team?
If you could reach out to us via our help centre, just let the team know and they'll sort out for you. No worries at all.
Yeah.
help.vincere.io is the link.
Yeah.
I think it's on this slide somewhere, actually.
Good stuff. Thanks, Melanie.
Any more questions we've missed in the chat, or have you answered them all, Donna, as we were going through?
Marcel's happy. I've been trying. Marcel's happy with your very detailed synopsis of your what to do to get it set up. So that's great.
Good.
I was also making notes at that point.
The recording, there's a few questions about the recording. We'll send it over, guys. No worries at all. We'll send the recording over. That's fine. Yeah, pretty much everything, I think. Cool. I think we'll leave it there. But thanks for joining, guys. Have an awesome day, and we'll speak to you very, very soon.
Cheers, guys. Have a good one. Bye.